Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with some more SFO Grimhammer. This time we're going to start checking out the changes to the High Elves. A friendly reminder once again that this patch drops on the 27th, this upcoming Friday, which is bringing over a lot of the stuff that you knew from Warhammer 2 into Warhammer 3. It'll start to feel like a complete SFO experience. So we're going to focus on the High Elves in this video. We're going to start off with Tyrion, who is the default main faction. So, when it comes to faction effects, we have the following. Tyrion can take the path of Retribution or Unity, and every High Elf faction grants unique confederation bonuses. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Diplomatic relations minus 25 with all factions except for High Elves. Construction time minus 50% for Shrine of Cain building. Recruitment duration minus 1 turn for infantry and cavalry units to the minimum of 1 turn, and most units at rank 7 can be upgraded to exalted versions. We'll talk about that a little bit later too. When it comes to Lord effects, we have the following. Upkeep minus 20% for Spearmen, Silvering Guard, Rangers, Archers, and Silver Helm units in Lord's Army. Recruit rank plus 4 for Gate Guard and Lothran Sea Guard units in Lord's Army. And finally, Leadership plus 10 when in own territory for Lord's Army. So Tyrion's going to have access to a new resource known as Heir of Anarion, and this can be gained from battles or entertainment buildings, and it's used in technologies. It's something that you're going to get quite often, especially since Ulthuan is not a safe place anymore. That resource is used on some new tech, which is Retribution or Unity, both of which are kind of different, which will give you a reason to play as Tyrion more than once. The first is focusing around more High Elf, attacking other races. You're going to have a lot of diplomatic relation issues with pretty much everyone, which you already kind of have because of player bias, but it's going to get a little bit worse. However, your forces will get a lot better, or you can decide to go for a more administrative route, more peaceful, and decide to just get like bonuses diplomatically with every single race, barring the High Elves, and work towards building up your economy more. It's depending on what type of High Elf campaign you actually want. Now, High Elves in general will have an addition to their actual technology tree, but this is something that is bonuses that affect your influence, and it's going to affect your influence for a turn. Early on, something that you're not really going to use. Either way, the entry is 10,000 gold, so it's definitely something that you're not going to use very early on, but later game, these will become quite beneficial to you, especially if you're starting to deal with certain armies that will require certain bonuses against them. Now, like I mentioned before, there are some very useful faction-wide bonuses that you can get for confederating with other High Elf factions. These are permanent, by the way, and it's important to note that you might not be able to get all during your campaign, because keep in mind, Shrace gets taken over by Nakari super quick, so you're going to have to be really fast, but then you've also got to deal with the Dark Elves in the starting area. You've also got Count Noctilus going in. So yes, there are a lot of bonuses, but you might not be able to get them all, unless you can make those factions come back though. But yeah, very good bonuses overall. Even this one for Ivres is actually very good, especially if you have a decent melee portion. Moving on to Teclis now, and yeah, he's probably one of the strongest characters in SFO at the moment. Anyways, faction effects. Scholarly tomes. Unlock powerful magical knowledge for Teclis and Archmages. Diplomatic relations plus 25 with men, High Elves, Wood Elves, Lizardmen, and Dwarfs. Allied recruitment cost minus 50%. Recruit rank plus 5 for Lore Masters of Hoeth, Mages, and Archmages. Attribute perfect vigor for Sword Masters of Hoeth and Lore Masters of Hoeth. And no recruitment cost for Loth and Skycutter units. When we go to the Lord effects, we have the following. Winds of Magic Power Reserve change plus 50% when increasing. Recruitment cost minus 40% for Sword Masters of Hoeth and Phoenix units in Lord's Army, Bound Spell Fireball, and finally Ward Save 10% for Phoenix units in Lord's Army. So Scholarly Tomes are your new resource with Teclis, and you can get this from events, Lore Masters of Hoeth or Teclis, and you can use them on events and technologies. The main thing is the tech, so we're going to be talking about that as there's quite a little bit to go through there. The tech itself is focused around the Winds of Magic in general, so how this goes is you'll be getting bonuses through all the different color magics, which is the main 8 winds that everyone's kind of used to, and high magic also. You can see that there's loads of bonuses there. It does take a while to actually be able to get this, but there are loads of benefits. Not only are they faction-wide in most cases, but there's some other stuff like, you know, being able to have some bound spells. Just in general, there's a lot of benefits. You're going to be able to reduce the the cost of your spellcasters for a decent amount in terms of upkeep too. So yeah, there's a lot of really good bonuses there. And there's a really powerful one at the end. You're going to need all of them to get there, so it's a bit of a journey, but by that point you're going to be in your most powerful state, really, as a faction. Moving on to Alarielle now, we have the following faction effects. Alarielle can grant her units unique gifts. Gains bonuses when all of Orphan is held by high elves and receives penalties otherwise. Influence cost minus 25% for intrigue at core actions, hero capacity plus 2 for handmaidens, invocation of Lilith improves casting and magic item drop chance, and greater invocation of Isha, additional bonuses for tree spirit units. When we go to the Lord effects, we have the following. Alarielle leaves lingering bonuses on regency visits. Alarielle weakens as Chaos grows stronger. Missile strength plus 25% for Sisters of Avalon and Handmaiden units, Lord's Army, and spell resistance 20% for Lord's Army. You're going to be quite powerful there. It's going to be beneficial as you're dealing with a lot of Lord Sanesh stuff quite early on. Her unique mechanic here is the Gifts of Isha. It's a new resource which you'll get for high trust in Alarielle, power of nature, so her presence, and technologies. And it's used in buildings of Isha and technologies. The main thing is the technologies. So all you have to do is basically just scroll to the end. It's a usual thing. And here you've got a bunch of sections which is focused around, well, pretty much anything revolving around Isha. Love, chosen, vengeance, purity, life, mother. And these are all new techs which are quite powerful, very expensive at that, so you're not really going to be able to get them quite early on, but it's going to boost up Alarielle. It's not only that, but it's going to get you some good, powerful faction-wide bonuses, like for example, extra growth, maybe more research rate, right cost reduction, loads of different things, which is just going to make you a little bit stronger and deal with the defense of Ulthuan, which, let's be honest, you're going to be dealing with a lot of enemies coming for you fairly often. Right, we're moving on to Alith Anar, and we have the following faction effects. Eliminating characters that are marked for death grants various rewards. This is from Vanilla. Invocation of Moray Heg summons unique hero, Hand of the Shadow Crown, ambush success chance plus 10%, own armies faction-wide in own territory, global recruitment duration minus 1 turn to the minimum of 1 turn, melee attack plus 10 during ambushes, melee defense minus 5 when defending, and unique units Shadow Walkers and Shadow Striders. Now, when we move on to the Lord effects, we have the following. Upkeep minus 40% for Shadow Walker and Shadow Warrior units in Lord's Army, enemy battle reinforcement time plus 50%, and ambush success chance plus 25% for Lord's Army. Alith Anar will have his own unique tech lines, which are going to be quite interesting because it's going to focus on making you very, very aggressive. This is going to be extra money from sacking, looting settlements. You're going to lose armor and melee defense, but you're going to gain weapon strength and melee attack. The idea is to make you just really, really hyper aggressive because Alith Anar is on a quest to basically eliminate all the Druki. So the main way that you're going to be doing this is not through defensive means. It's not going to be from waiting around like most other high elves. You're taking the fight directly to them, and this is the best way for you to do so. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting campaign. Aggressive elves, especially for high elves, is something that you commonly see on the tabletop, but the campaign is mostly just chill, whereas this is just a little bit different. Anyways, we're moving on to Eltharion now. We've got the following faction effects. Dungeon of Athel Tarmaha, unique prison for lords with various effects. Can spread the mists of Yvresse, cloaking Eltharion and his allies in defensive shroud. Diplomatic relations, minus 100 with greenskins. This is expected, you're going to be dealing with Grom quite early on. Recruit rank plus 3 for spear infantry and ranger units. Unique units are Mistwalkers. And for your lord effects, you have the following. Immune to Barren Wasteland attrition in Lord's Army. Leadership plus 5 for spear infantry and ranger units in Lord's Army. Melee defense plus 5 for spear infantry and ranger units in Lord's Army. Attribute causes fear when fighting against greenskins for Lord's Army. And armor plus 10 for all Mistwalker units. So Eltharion already has the Warden supplies. This is something that you're already used to. However, there's an added bonus to them where you've got a bunch of tech which also uses Warden supplies. And this will get you some bonuses versus pretty much every other faction. Not only against Lizardmen, for example, but also Dwarfs, Bretonia. Yeah, every faction that's pretty much in-game. So if you want to be more aggressive towards them, then this is the point. Well, you've also got some diplomatic bonuses, like say for example with the High Elves and the Wood Elves, because generally those are factions that you don't want to fight against because they are your same people. But everyone else, well, it's fair game, right? Everyone is a potential enemy to the safety of Ulthuan. And finally we have Prince Imrik, which also just kind of points out that we had a lot more Legendary Lords for Game 2 races than we had for Game 1. Hopefully that changes in the future in the form of DLC and FLC. But anyways, when we go on to the faction effects, we're the following. Dragon Taming allows to ally or defeat mighty dragons and unlock unique technologies. Invocation of Eldrazi improves and grants experience to dragon princes, lords, and heroes. Greater Invocation of Vol, additional bonuses for dragon units. Income from post-battle loot plus 20%, quite a high one. Recruitment duration -1 turn for dragon and dragon prince units. Obviously to the minimum of 1 turn. When we go up to the Lord effects, we have the following. Campaign movement range plus 20%, Draconic Resilience immune to mountain and desert attrition for Lord's army, upkeep -20% for Dragon and Dragon Princes units in Lord's army, and finally ambush defense chance plus 10% for Lord's army. Imrik also has a unique technology line which is quite interesting. You see, at the beginning you'll have to deal with diplomatic relations -100 with all factions except High Elves, and a lot of factions are going to be your enemy, but it's not just because of that. But as you start dealing with the dragons, you're going to get some strong bonuses to make you even more powerful. The idea is you're going to take the dragons and finally ride out of Kalador, and well, it's about time everyone felt the fury of fire, right? It's one of these things that the elves have been waiting for, mostly because they're kind of weak, but now you can feel in that position. I kind of like it. It's a pretty interesting thing, and it does make you have more of a reason to kind of expand with Imrik a little bit more, especially since you're right now in the Darklands. So yeah, it's not bad. So we're going to talk about the units added in, and Exalted Elves are only for Tyrion. I'm not going to show them all as there's a lot of them and we'll just be here for like an hour. But essentially you can upgrade your standard elves and get them to an Exalted variant, which will make them look actually really, really nice. I love how these High Elven archers look when they're Exalted. It's a little bit better in stats. Like, it's not a drastic improvement, but it definitely is an improvement. Makes them do a bit more damage, a little bit more leadership, and usually a little bit more armor too. And it's definitely something that you want to do. Shadow Striders are for Alith Anar, and basically they're just Shadow Warriors with spears, so it gives you a little bit more of an anti-large. Plus, it keeps with the theme, right? You want as many Shadow-style units with the Shadow King because, well, yeah, it just makes sense. And to be honest, it does help because you're going to be dealing with Taurox quite early on. You're going to be dealing with a lot of monsters around that region. So having access to some spears is just going to make your life a little bit easier. Sure, you can get the normal spears, but this is just cooler. We're moving on to the Loth and Skycutters now, and these are for everyone. The only thing is that Teclis gets a benefit for having them, but yeah, Flying Chariot, really, really fast, got a lot of damage there. I really like these. These were a unit that on the tabletop were just really, really popular, and it shows because you have to pay like £100+ if you want to buy one second hand nowadays. But yeah, no, really, really, really cool. You can have them on foot too, but you'll obviously want it on foot because it's a Flying Chariot. It's also range too, which is just fantastic with a really good range. I love these units. It's a shame that we never really got them officially. You never know for the future though. And lastly, we do have the Gate Guard, which are actually very, very good. So these are the ones that basically protect the inner circle of Ulthuan. And yeah, they've got pretty good stats. They're a hybrid, so basically, yeah, call them a just different version of the Loth and Sea Guard in a sense. And it kind of just makes sense. So anti-large, ballistic expert, just in general, they're just really, really good. I love the look of them too. This is a really nice color scheme. Yeah, I know, more stats that you guys are interested in, but color schemes, you know, I'm still painting up my High Elves, so I might actually do a unit like this. So the High Elves didn't really need too many changes. If anything, it was just to diversify each of the Legendary Lords a bit more, which, in all fairness, yeah, I feel like that was kind of needed. Now there's a bit more incentive to actually play as all the different High Elf Legendary Lords. So if you like the High Elves, yeah, you definitely want to try out this version of SFO. A big reminder, once again, this patch drops on the 27th of this month, so this coming Friday. And yeah, if you have any thoughts regarding the changes and so on, leave them in the comments below. The SFO team will be checking them out. And with all that being said, I'll see you all very, very soon, and have a good day.